Hello, everyone. Yes, sorry I'm a little bit late. It's been quite a bit of time since I've been doing a live, so it's a little bit impromptu. And yes, I will be settled in a place next week where it's going to be a lot easier to restart the lives on a regular basis. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I might go into that a little bit later on about that actually, because it's quite interesting how life has got those repetitive rhythms in life. So, and I'm a classic example of that when I'm moving house and stuff like that. So, we might talk into that a little bit later on. Um, I don't know if you've seen that video on the shifting consciousness. If you saw it on the energy, the messages from energy that came out on Wednesday, it was like a side note in a way, and it was like it was almost as because it's still sort of like 2 to 3 weeks away. So, and energy changes on a regular basis. Like when we're looking at the sun is that's the prana energy or the chi energy that feeds the earth, that then in turn then feeds us as individuals. That's constantly changing. So it's not that we need to adapt to it. It's better if you learn to sort of connect with that energy and realize the sort of forces that are coming through. So then you can adapt to it within your life. And this is all about getting in sync with energy, basically. Of, say, like if it's earth energy, sort of like really sort of like doing physical things, um, even if it is making a cake, that sort of thing. It's really getting into the idea of making something and creating something physical. And it could be even creating a business, whichever way it is, really, and how it really works for you. And it's playing to the strengths of the energy that's coming through at the moment. And as I was talking about that in this week's readings, which went out on Thursday and Friday, let me just put the comments up because I forgot about that last time, didn't I? Let me just put the comments up. So back to technical stuff. No, it's not that window that I want. It's this window I want. Okay, so here we go. There we go. I'll put the comments up on the sort of channel. So let me just take that out of the way. There we go. So hello, it's Frisia. Hello, Frisia. How you doing? I may be looking away from the camera occasionally because I've got to look at the comments as well at the same time. So hello, how you doing? How's Cornwall? How's or I shouldn't really be saying that on the internet, maybe, I don't know. Sorry, but how you doing? Yeah, lovely to see you. So it was said as a side note, getting back to what I was saying. It was said as a side note sort of scenario, and but it spiked my curiosity because of what went on with the portal. So if you imagine you've got like the earth and you've got like the north and the south, the portal can be just sort of like vertical, as it were, flowing through the earth. But it's actually on a tilt. So, and it's channeling the energy through the earth. But this is also to do with pole shift and stuff like that. And that's why they tested to tilt the energy or tilt the portal, which will suck in more energy at the time and give us blast through. And then we got the 8.3 and so forth. And a lot of reverberations upon that change of that, the orientation of the portal, because it's like a lens, and as you focus that lens like you do with the sun and everything like that. So and with the messages from energy, it's been very subtle, but it's that, a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I forgot what it was, something about standing shoulder to shoulder with Mother Nature, and that she trusts us. And it's like she trusts us to kind of go, you can make decisions like we can, or I can, it's in the earth. And that was really encouraging, I think, for a lot of people who are involved with, energy, vibration, that sort of thing. Because it's really it's not giving us the kudos. It's giving us the sort of kind of going, you know, we now make a team. We now make one, as it were. And that's been building within the messages from energy slowly. It's been very surreptitiously growing. And then last week was all about, this week that just went, was all about getting into sync naturally without having to overplay it. Everybody is a shaman. If you start realizing that, everything you do is a shamanistic activity, even if it's making a cup of tea. And once you put your consciousness into it, who was it? I think it was Parry. Hi Kim, lovely to see you. Everything like that. I will look at the comments occasionally. I think it was Parry who said something about sort of like the collective consciousness was, I forgot what it was. Parry, if you're listening, your opening phrase about how it summed it up was really quite interesting. And yeah, it's a little bit like that. So once you start getting in line with the energy, and you're really, even making a cup of tea becomes a conscious event. You don't have to you get to a stage where you don't have to concentrate on that consciousness. In fact, it's even better when you don't concentrate on being conscious with everything. That's when you can, all of a sudden, that's when you can really play. It's like, if you imagine like a professional surfer, he doesn't have to concentrate on getting that wave. He knows how to get a wave. It's now how he plays and with his art of being a surfer on that wave, comes out because he's got the technique already in place. And finding one's technique can be quite complicated. I understand that, because we're in a world that distracts us permanently. And that is not, you can't really get distracted by the outside world if you're consciously engaged in things. And there is moments, you know what I mean, when you're going to be walking through town and you lose your consciousness and get sucked back into the whole human identity thing. And it's great as well. You know, I mean, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Humans are absolutely amazing people, amazing, creations, absolutely amazing. And, collectively, even if there's lots of things they do that I don't agree with, that's even amazing within itself. Just kind of going, wow, that is amazing. I wouldn't do that, but yeah, that is quite mad. It's amazing. Sort of scenario. Hello, Shirley. How you doing? Hi, everyone. It's glad to. My eyes are really going. Glad you made the live. Glad I made the live. Glad you made the live. I'm glad you made the live as well, Shirley. That's really brilliant. Thank you very much for all the comments you do, by the way. Also, Kim and Frisia, everyone, thanking you for the comments. It is. I think we're getting to the stage now where we the sharing and the commentary does help other people, because people will read it and they're kind of going, do you know what? Yeah. And that's what about life's living. It's just joining in, isn't it? So when you're getting in sync with energy, and you get these sort of heads up of what's going on in the sun, so you know that the vibration is going to be coming through. It's going to be a little bit like this in the next sort of like 3 or 4 days, even up to a week, and stuff like that. And that's, so then you can adapt your life accordingly. And doing this on a daily basis will change your persona within the human matrix. So people tend to see you in a way that this is a happy, go lucky-ish sort of person, but is also very efficient in what they're doing. And that's when, and this is what the event, or the shift in consciousness, there is a definite shift. And when I say shift, it's what, it's, hello, Kevin, lovely to see you. Absolutely beautiful. Thanking you very much for all the support you give to this channel. Freshman, seriously, I sort of spoke in French then. Seriously, absolutely blinding. I can't thank you enough, my friend. Really, really beautiful. yeah, so getting in sync with energy. I've now completely lost my thread. Get back into that consciousness. So people see you as a happy-go-lucky and stuff like that, and this is why the shift in consciousness. If you're in that mode of being in alignment with everything you do, and I delivered off an iron to someone at their house, right? And they were so chuffed to receive the iron. And I said to them, as I gave them the iron, I said, don't forget, like, when you're ironing, it is also a form of meditation. So enjoy the moment. And it's just, you could see the spark in the person kind of going, do you know what? Yeah, I should do meditation whilst lawn mowing as well, which was brilliant. I ended up doing lots of different patterns with my lawnmower. Anyway, like geometric sort of patterns. And once you get into this sort of flow of things, this is where you can really start emphasizing. So this week, and this is coming all the way back to what I was just saying a little bit earlier on, in this week's readings, especially on the water and air signs, it was an understanding whilst looking at the Astroflower that if there is water and earth coming through the natural system, you can emphasize that element within you without having to try too hard. It's going to be there anyway. And therefore, you can explore the other side, which is fire and air, that comes from within you and within your sign, and seeing where it sits in your sign. And that's where you're consciously engaged in a creation of a situation, of the collective situation, as it were. I see there's other comments on there. It's lovely to connect like-minded souls. Yeah, it's a vibration that does that. Totally does. It's a vibration that actually does that. And then we've got someone else as well. Is that Retina? My eyes are really going. I've got to get something. Retina, hello from Denmark. Hello to Denmark. Yeah, hello Denmark. Do you know, Denmark, there's a lot of people connecting from Denmark at the moment. Really nice. It's meant to be the happiest people, the most content people. I don't know. There's something along those sort of lines. So, lovely to sort of like see you from Denmark as well. Hope you understand. I don't speak Danish. Might have done in a previous life, but not in this one. So, I can't really sort of speak to you in Danish, but yeah. Getting in sync with that sort of energy, when this shift sort of comes, it's almost as if like you've been learning how to catch a wave all the way through your existence. We've all been playing with energy. And now you're finally kind of getting to a stage of kind of you recognizing that wave coming through, and how you can emphasize your greater strengths, and also alleviate a lot of your weaknesses by using the energy that's coming through and the energy that is within you in itself, and the elements within itself. Once we start doing that, and you start doing that, you will be recognized in a way by people around you kind of going, they know what's going on. They're not getting phased by anything. And I think this is what the geological shift, it could be, it's, I was talking in the video, it's certainly, I don't think it's going to be, it's not like, that's it. That's the end of the planet. Because I don't think that's a problem. Really, to be honest. But I do think it's going to prick up people's ears, and kind of go, what the blazes? And when they see people around them that are actually just in flow and kind of going, yeah, this is just an expression of energy, and I'm going to use this force of this expression in order to engage even more with life. And so you've got this sort of like, that's what that whole sort of getting in sync was about. That's why I was curious about what this in syncness about was going towards. Have you noticed? Because I did a video on manifestation, and basically keeping it really simple. If I um, if let's say like I get an ice cube out of the fridge or the freezer, sorry, I get an ice cube out of the freezer, and I want to manifest it melting. So it's very easy for me to do. I just take the ice cube out of the freezer and I put it on the kitchen sideboard. I know it's going to melt, but I'm in a way it's like that's how you do it in manifestation. If you put in play very simple things, it's a domino effect. And I don't know if you've seen those dominoes where you flick over a normal sized domino and it ends up, toppling a massive domino after about sort of 6 dominoes. And that is the whole manifestation the manifestation side of it all. The simpler we keep it, the better it will be, and a lot easier to do. So, yeah, it's it's part and parcel of it, of this getting into sync as well. And when people start pricking their ears up, they're going to start paying attention to and feeding the wrong things in life. If you think about it, if no one was screaming around the cars of the Beatles, would we know them now? And it's because they're being almost like supercharged by everything around it, which creates that whole sort of wave going on. And this wave is naturally being created within energy and with the time and pole shift and geologically and everything like that. And so it's a natural sort of process. And that's that input of energy that's going to make this shift stick. And people are going to look around at other people who are in sync and kind of going, they know what's going on. They're not phased. They're still going through and being who they should be. Why and how? And I think this is where we can help each other to get through this phase. And, knowing thy neighbor, I think, is a really good thing. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be your bestest friend in the world, but, talking to them and being straight talking to them is fine. If they disagree with it or don't like it, that's fine. It's not a problem. But it's being there and being conscious about what we're doing. Did you have any questions about any of this, by the way? If you've seen that sort of video, did you see the video? Did you see what I was talking about in the way of sort of geological events and stuff like that? I even think that, because I talked about that hurricane that went up the east coast of America, and I thought it was going to whack into the UK, southern UK, northern France. That's what I was saying. And it's actually gone up into Scotland, and it's not a hurricane, but it's not far off. And that's a telltale sign of the pole shift of the cyclones and everything going in a different direction because of the magnetic field. And so I actually turned around and I think we might have a cold snap in the UK in September, late September, mid-September. And you wouldn't believe it now. I'll tell you what, we're having a lovely summer. That's amazing, really. But yeah, it's a lot that's going on, and I think that's part and parcel of the shift of it all. And there is a lot of heating up on volcanoes and so forth. And I talked about the volcano that was going on up by between Alaska and Russia. I think it's in the Russian area, actually, more than anything else. And then sort of landslides or landslips under the sea in up north of in the Filipino plate, north of Australia, and then also Ethiopia. I think that risks to really, really do something quite interesting. So, and I think that's what's going to make people turn around and kind of go, there's something going on that we're not. This is not simple CT, CC. That's code for two words that apparently I'm not allowed to say. Apparently, CC. So it's it's gonna make that shift of people kind of sort of saying what is going on in that world. Let me. Am I distorting the thing? I'm just trying to zoom so I can actually see the. Oh no, that's fine. I wanted to zoom in to see if I could see the comments a little bit easier. Because Julie's just put in a comment. How you doing, Julie? Thanks for the head up. Devil's Cauldron. Oh yeah, nice place. I can't walk too far, but we went down Penipa, and surrounded areas. It was absolutely beautiful energy. Hit me around my sacral and heart. Wow, fundamental heart's desire. That's really good. That's the two fundamental. So you got the sacral, which is like obviously your fundamental desires. Like I'm hungry, and then you got the heart's desire that goes along with it. And yeah, something maybe look at, Julie, man. Maybe there's something to look at that. Any thoughts on Campri Flegrei in Italy? Yeah, that's been that whole Italy, Greece area there. There's something definitely bubbling up around that. I didn't get anything in particular. I was saying there was something in Europe. I thought it was the UK. So probably because I'm in the UK and I only, probably looking at my belly button really. But maybe we should just have a quick look at it. Let's just connect to that and see if we can get some sort of information on that. Thank you, Frisia. That'd be lovely. Okay. I'm just going to compare it to the other zones. Because there's a different expression of energy. In fact, in my video, I didn't put up my map, did I? I do apologize about that. I just remembered that now. I think we've got a lot more to see from that. I don't think it's ready to, because you've got the two earthquakes there. I was just looking at comparing basically the energy drive at those points. And so I was looking at that one. I was looking at the one between Alaska and Russia, or the one in Russia, and then also in Ethiopia. And because the energy drive in the Filipino plate is a horizontal one rather than a vertical one, whereas the volcanoes are much more vertical energy. And it's not as big as those other two places, the Russian and the Ethiopian sort of thing. It comes closer to the Ethiopian, I think, but I think there's more to be said on that point in the future. I don't think it's at the moment. I don't think it's going to be that. I think you'll need a lot more sort of earthquakes that sort of open up that phi or that fault line that will go all the way up Italy, and strikes the Alps like a symbol, and then you get the energy that comes back off the Alps, and that's where it meets up at the volcanoes. It helps with the vertical energy, so you get like a standing wave. But at the moment, it's not quite in sync, so I don't think you get anything coming out there. Vita's hi, Vita. How you doing? Lovely to see you. That's all right. Don't worry, sweetie. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go there. No, if you're thinking of going on holiday, go now. But I wouldn't, I'd just be a little bit wary of it. There's that other one in Greece as well, which has been kicking off, which I think would be quite interesting, but not yet. I think that's much further down the line, but it's definitely building in that sort of area. And I think it's going to, as I say, with the conscious shift, I think that's what's going to, it's going to make people kind of go, actually, there's something going on that's much bigger than we're being told or thought or so forth. And, maybe we need to know about it. And I think that's what the conscious shift in it is all about. It's the attention that then people get taken away from one attention and start kind of going, oh yeah, look at what's that? Okay, and people will investigate a lot more. And the thing is, don't stop what you're doing to try and wake people up. Don't worry about that, man. That's the last thing. Just doing what you're doing is waking people up without you having to go and wake them up. You know what I mean? So, it's it's that shift that's coming through, and it's been gradually building, as I say, in the messages from energy. It's been like a step-by-step confident builder in the engagement that we have with energy that helps us to wake up a lot more. So then we've finally got a wave of energy within the human species to be part of something which is called the planet Earth. When you mentioned snow, I was thinking of the volcanic winters. Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, yeah. I think we're going to get a cold snap. So you may get like snow flurries across the UK over a period of a day or something like that. I wouldn't. That's possibly okay. So yeah, I don't think there's not enough to make a volcanic winter. Obviously, it will change precipitation across the globe for the next, 5 to 10 years. It's that dust in the sky and in particles which help to form raindrops and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it will change over a period of time, but I don't think we're at the volcanic winter stage yet. Don't worry, there's going to be plenty of things going on over in the future, and I wouldn't worry about them. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about a thing. There's no point. There's no point. You can't do. The planet's going to do what the planet's going to do, and if you understand that a little bit, then then you can choose, or you can take the path which is the most evident path for you to take. And no one else can make that choice for you. Only you can make that choice. So just knowing that and being conscious about it takes a lot of pressure of other people just consciously making taking their evident path as well. And that's what helps people to wake up as well. And the more this happens, the more and more that, everything will have to change within society in order to adapt for this new wave of thinking, or way of not thinking, way of being. And it's been teeing up some time. It's like the well-being movement and the industrialization of the well-being movement over the last 15 years has been phenomenal. I think everybody realized that it's an absolute, it's an industry now, be it whatever, be it yoga teaching, yoga, healers, Reiki, massaging, sound baths. There's a lot of it which is now becoming a small but a part of the economy of the way in which we do things financially. And so this door has been gradually opening, and it's all part and parcel of of that transition from one thing to another, and that whole sort of pole shift sort of scenario. And being conscious about what we do on a daily basis is really important. That's what that tea meditation is all about as well. So that monkey mind in that voice that's constantly badgering at each and every single one of us, it doesn't badger. My inner voice is now a friend that I can have a cup of tea with every now and then with, and that's what it should be like. Your inner voice should be a friend that and a friend's not going to be in your face all the time, is they? And so this is where that tea meditation every single day. It really does change um, your interaction with your inner being, which ultimately then changes the interaction with the outer being, with everything that is around you. And that's where your inner voice becomes very much if you imagine your guides are using your inner voice as a way to help and communicate with you, and your guides should be your best friends. So and then you have your guides as well that look after the body and so forth. But that's when you can then start using that inner voice for something way much more powerful than when it's just constantly chatting to you. So becoming friends with your inner voice is really important. It's part and parcel of the consciousness as well, and living that consciousness. It really is absolutely beautiful. Make sure I've got all the comments up. Yeah, I can see all the comments. That's fine. Yeah, it's coming up in the next sort of it was between between the 7th and the 19th or something like that. Was it the 14th and 19th? Can't remember what it was on the video now. But it was around that sort of point. Let me just have a check on that. So we got the 19th. It does go back to the 7th. It seems like there's a teaser, and it's like an echo that keeps building, and it builds to, I think it accumulates basically on the 19th. And that's when the shift isn't like instantaneous. The realization of the shift actually comes sort of like in the next 2 or 3 weeks after that, where people do start acting differently and start, becoming a little bit more sort of conscious about things. And it's not necessarily conscious about what the things you see on the 9 o'clock news. It's conscious about how you feel and how you perceive the world, and realizing where we're being distracted and what we should be concentrating on, because we have an amazing opportunity, a real good opportunity to take the human race to a place where we are way beyond our highest expectations. It can be absolutely phenomenal. It just needs to, be aware of the distractions and what the consciousness is really sort of like taking us towards. Because once you start doing that, I will tell you, it's going to be fun. You do enjoy yourself, but on simpler things. You don't need. I enjoy great films and so forth. I don't need a film in order to make myself feel good. I like to watch a film every now and then. I want to watch a film every now and then. So it's all sort of within those sort of lines and within that sort of ilk, as it were, that's sort of coming through. And it's going to be quite good for people who have been, conscious about this shift for some time, because it's constantly shifting. Energy, as I say, is constantly shifting. Pole shift never stops. It's just a pendulum that goes from one side to the other, and the actual swinging motion never really stops. You know what I mean? It's just that this transition is almost perpetual, as much as the seasons on this planet. But at the same time, you're conscious that there is some years that are far more striking than others. It will be lovely when we can all see everyone's auras, no lies, except totally. I do. this is my that's yeah, totally. Richard, totally. I'm well up for that. That whole idea that you know uh, if you can see energy, you can see. Um, it's like when they say, okay, so if we keep it on simple levels, when what's it called? How people place themselves and stuff like that. I forgot what it's called, body language, and people reading body language. And when people, sort of look to one side or look up, I don't know what it is. Never really studied it. It's much easier watching energy. Much more beautiful as well. Apparently that's people that are telling lies or whatever it is. And you can see the similar sort of thing in energy. You can see it being formulated that doesn't what it doesn't give birth to an exterior thing. It gives birth to an interior thing. So basically, people lie for their own personal gain or protection, and it's not really lying, you know, for the ultimate benefit of others. It's the idea of white lies, I guess, and stuff like that. But I think it's much better to be honest. Bob Dylan said, if you're not, he said to live outside the law, which is lawless, which I'm so chuffed with, to live outside the law, you have to be honest, because honesty is the only thing that will protect you. You don't have any laws to protect you, only your honesty does. And I took that on as a mantra when I was young man, very young man. And, I will swear by it, I will really swear by it. And I think that's seeing energy is really important. And I think everybody's got the capacity to see it, because, like, if you want to see energy, we cannot see the color fuchsia, pink, a particular type of pink. And we don't have the cones in our eyes that if you imagine there's three circles, there's red, blue, and green, and those overlap, but they don't overlap so much. There is a point in the middle that they don't overlap. So that's that point where we can't actually see a color, and our mind actually creates that color, out of what in theory it should be, according to the vibration that is coming off it. And pink is a very particular color in terms of vibration and energy. You can have one pink in one proton not proton, is it? What's it called? Photon? No, I forgot what it's called now. You know what it's called. In the nuance that makes people very docile, relaxed, and everything like that. And then you go like five particles to the right or to the left, and it makes them really aggressive. It's really fine, the difference between the two. And it's that central point there, between the pivotal point between the two, which is, where the point where we can't actually see it, or something like that. And it's energies like that. It's like, if you look at it with your physical eyes, it will disappear, because it doesn't exist in the physical world in a way. And so you don't really want to be looking directly at energy. You want to be sort of looking at it skewed, as it were. And that's when you start using your consciousness and your third eye in order to see the energy. And energy it tends to only let you see energy when you're ready to see it. That's what I say. Because it can be quite shocking to see it. It does make you kind of go like that. And instantly, when people can see the energy, I teach people to see energy on my workshops and stuff like that. That's what I do. It's not on the first workshop. It's one that I do about the auras and the chakras that come out after the first workshop, which is called the Source. But when people see energy, they look at it and they go, "Oh, it's gone." And again, yeah, because you're trying to see with it with your physical eyes, where you should be looking at it with your third eye. And once you do combine the vision, the physical vision which you have, but not actually focusing on anything, with the third eye, it becomes a lot easier to see energy. And once you can see energy, then communication can go 1,000 times faster than it goes. And it is very hard to pull the wool over someone's eyes if they can see energy. And sometimes you're going to allow it to happen because, like, Scott, how you doing, my friend? Lovely to see you. You've got such a positive show. If no one's seen Scott's show, do go and see it. Uh, it's difficult to describe, but it's about connecting people, as far as I can tell, with you could probably say it a lot better than me, but connecting people to their connection to animals and just joy, happiness, and sharing the love, as it were. So if you haven't seen Scott's show, do go and see it. It's always beautiful to see and hear. Little bit of a teaser there. So yeah, once you can see that sort of energy flowing, it's you can see the calculation going. The because if you imagine that one pink that makes you really happy is made up of the same colours of a pink that makes you really sort of thing. Post a link, Scott. Post a link to your show, man. You know what I mean? It's all about happiness. Yeah. It's if you think that those two colours there are made up of the same colours, it's just the volumes of what other green and blues and reds are in the one colour. So when you look at the energy of love, it's made up of exactly the same things as the energy of hate. It's just inverted in one to the other. These hands are, in theory, they're pretty much the same. Although I am like the real Tom Thumb, because I've got one thumb that's just slightly smaller than the other. So it should be, in theory, the same as, one hand is the same as the other, but they can be inverted from one to the other. And once you can see that in sort of energy, how you can see the nuances that go behind. You don't know the actual thought of the person, but you can see the emotional or energetic construction of that idea. So someone can say something to you which may perceive to be a great idea, but you can see within the energy that they're actually just creating this idea for their own personal gain. And that's what makes the difference. So, there's many ideas that are fantastic ideas, but as well as I do, that fantastic idea will be used against you in the end. There's a lot of things that were passed in Parliament that can be used by people later on in the future that in a really nasty way. And that's very similar that sort of thing. I love supporting Scott, man. It's great. Love it. Man, it's all part and parcel of doing it and being part of that community, man. Lovely to see. Lovely to see your show and everything like that. Friendship and joy. Yes. You never know. Maybe we'll get to sing one day together. Oh no, I just let the cat out of the bag. Ooh. But yeah, this is the thing with the conscious shift as well. What makes it different from an understanding is it's not enlightenment. I wouldn't say it's that, but it's an understanding. This is the conscious shift that's going on. It's an honest conscious shift that comes from the person that is within, rather than a shift of sort of, which could be much more of as a personal gain sort of thing. So I think this is what makes a lot of difference for what is possibly coming up in the next sort of like 2 or 3 weeks. And it's going to be very interesting to see. how it relates into the 3D world. There was a question that someone asked a question. I've forgotten who it was on the video about am I sitting on an energy line when I was doing the video by the church? And yes, I was. I've particularly chosen that spot, which was around the side of the church. It wasn't the most comfortable of spots to do that energy, that last video, but at the end of the day, it was on the line, and that's where I needed to be. And the best thing about it is, I said I was going to talk about it earlier on, you know, the rhythm in life. So I've got this 7-year rhythm in me. So I stayed in a house from the ages of 1 to 8, and then from 8 to 15, and then 15 to 22. So it was every 7 years. And then from 22, that's when I started moving a lot more. In fact, it started happening between 15 and 22, to be honest. But it was slowly integrated into my life. And then till I get to the point where at 25, 26, I was in a van and living out of a van and traveling around Europe until I found a place when I was 28. Was it 28? 98. So I was 26, which comes up after the sort of like 26, and then I was sort of like was it 26? I've forgotten. How long ago was it? Yeah, so it's 1 to 8, 8 to 15, 15 to 22, and then from 22 through to sort of like 22 to 29. Yeah, that's what it was. 28, 29. 28, 29 is when I got sort of like stable. I only had one change between that. And then when I finally got in things into sync, um, how old would I be? I don't know how old I was. And then I stayed in the same place for another 7 years. And then I had this 7 years where it was sort of cut into two. And then over the last 7 years, it's been pretty chaotic where I've been living in lots of different places over the last 7 years. It's been very interesting, obviously, still all the same. And I'm going into a phase where, you know, I can hunker down for 7 years. And I'm moving into a place that's got this most beautiful energy line that's running through it. And I'll be moving in there right from the beginning of September, which is absolutely brilliant. You know, it's the first time I've had a real kitchen to myself in 4 years. Can you imagine life without a kitchen? You need to be very inventive. So yeah, and this rhythm. If you understand this rhythm within you, it's also playing to your consciousness of how you should be, or the evident path of what you should be following, and stuff like that. And it just sort of like I was looking at that and looking at the Astroflower and seeing how it all sort of like fits together. And you know, you can see this within, you know, how sort of like the rhythm of the well-being thing when it's sort of like become very commercialized in a way, which is a good thing because it does need to get out there into the financial world. I'm not complaining about that at all, but it did get very commercialized, and it's going a little bit back to its roots and stabilizing its roots. And I think this is all part of that conscious shift as well, where it's like you get the up and down of the rhythm, but the down is not a bad moment. It's a really good moment. Sorts a lot of chaff from the wheat, as it were. And I think we're getting into that now, and I think that's all part and parcel of the shift, as it were. Mind making, body being. All right, like it, yeah. Mind making, yeah. Very inventive, the mind, isn't it? Body making, soul doing. Yeah, I like it. Is this a song we're doing here? Is it Source Wonder Woman? Is it a song we're doing? It sounds like lyrics to a song there. You know, totally getting into sync with the energies. So, and we've got this. I don't know if you've seen the sun recently. You know, I was explaining about there being like the filament energies and the earth energies that are coming through. And it looks like by the weekend, by midweek next week, when the next energy message from energy comes out, we're going to have some sunspots that may well be firing in our direction. uh, by Wednesday for the messages from energy, and I think there's a certain anticipation that's creating. Not anticipation, it's, I wouldn't say anxiety, but it's a very similar type of energy to that that's being created in the air at the moment, because a lot of the firing is going off behind the Earth, which is creating the draft, or the air energy it's building. You can feel it. So we're moving from that water and earth to probably fire and air. But we'll see how it happens. And I think this is what's going to spark that sort of change within the geology, and also the consciousness as well. And it's a change of rhythm that's coming down the line. It'll probably be with us for about a week, 10 days, and then that's when it's going to break away, and I think we'll see the return of the corona holes, and that's what's going to sort of spark that energy that's building up within the center of the Earth, just literally go and be released at some point. Big Mama energies incoming. Nice. There's been some very good eruptions. Not sure if they're all coming. They're definitely not coming. I think they're all coming off behind the Earth at the moment. If they go off in the front of the Earth can actually, it will drive into it and take the tail end of it. The interaction between the planets, as far as I can tell, is a different. I look at the way energy interacts between planets, not like astrology. So, if you imagine, like, you've got the magnetic field there's the Earth, and you've got the magnetic field that goes out like a cone in a way. It makes it look like an eye. Like an Egyptian eye in a way, if you look from the side. And, as we go round, we get infiltrated behind that. And so it affects, so if there's a planet in front of us, we'll get caught in its tailwind. And that's how a lot of energy sort of like transforms between the interior planets. It is slightly different within the outer planets because they're gassy. They're not made of solid stuff. And the interaction is a little bit more direct in a way, where it's much more electrified. So it's drawn to the connection with the solid planets, as it were. So, and they're going a lot slower as well, as the inner planets going a lot faster and stuff like that. They're winding up their energies. And the interaction, there's been quite a lot of alignments as well that's been going on with the planets, but not with the sun. They've always been like, you've got the sun that's like that, and then you'll have a couple of planets that align like that to the side of it. And for me, true alignment is where you take in the sun as well. So you've got like balancing factors of the energy that's coming off the sun. There's different ways of looking at alignments with planets and stuff like that. When the pole shift happens, will the Michael and Mary lines flip and change? Yeah. Basically, they will change. When the energy change, let me try and bring up my map. Let me try and bring up my map, because I think this is quite an interesting thing that you're touching on. Let me try and. It's going to take me a little bit to. I'll sort it out for another day, because otherwise I don't want to. I'll be spending all my time on the computer. I don't want to do that. If you see the picture of my lines, if you turn those lines upside down, the only two lines that really do go on to the opposite place of where the other line was is where we get the root chakra, which is in the salt lakes in Peru. Is it Peru or Bolivia? Lake Salida, where you can see the curvature of the earth. And the other one, which is the crown chakra, which is on Mount Shasta in Tibet or China these days, in that sort of area there. And when you flip everything upside down, those 2 points go exactly on the same point, which is really interesting because that's all about that vertical energy. But they change where the lines go through the UK and through the rest of the world. So will they flip? Yes, they will flip, but they may not be in the same place. Have you seen cymatic experiments where you put little grains of salt to a plate and you play vibration through it, and then when you switch frequency, the salt just goes in another place? And that's exactly what the pole shift's all about in regards to the energy lines. It's not that they disappear and new ones are created. It's just that the pattern will change. The pattern will change ultimately. So will they flip and change? Well, they flipping will change, yeah. They flipping will change. Yes, they are going to change. I think so. And I think that's where all the chakras are going to completely change. Because then I do have a version of this map where it's inverted. And, the crossing points are not in the same place. So the heart chakra is going to be redefined where it is. Everything's going to be redefined apart from the crown and the root. Basically, they're the staple, as it were. But it may change in the way it sort of like goes like that. Cymatics on steroids. Yeah, exactly. It's cymatics on the roids, as they would say. Yeah, it is basically, that is what happens when you get frequency change. It will also change, I think, as well, the rate of gravity. So, levitation may well be a thing. It'll all turn into Supermen and Superwomen, which source Wonder Woman, it could change. I don't know if you've seen those experiments where they have a frequency projected one way, another frequency projected another way, and another one frequency projected the other way. The 3 different frequencies, which you need to create weightlessness. And then they can hold droplets of water in the air. Now, you can do the same thing with electromagnetics. If you've got a frequency that's going one way and another one going the other one, that way, and then another one going another way. When you get those 3 in alignment, the right hand, left hand wall, and that's the same with energy and everything like that. So when you're working energy, what you're looking to do is to create or take those 3 types of energy and put them through your equalizer like a sound, so you can put up the bass, pull down the treble, and put up the midtones. And that's going to create a certain vibration. So you can use your vibration in a certain way for multitudes of different things, for healing, for dowsing, for, manifestation, everything like that. What are you laughing at, Julie? What did Julie say? I didn't see what did Julie say? Totally beautiful. What are you laughing at, Shirley? At Julie? Julie said something funny, did she? I didn't see it. I haven't seen it there. What's the name of the show? Oh no, that's for Scott. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's getting in sync with the energy. The moment you're in sync with the energy, you will know when things are changing. If you imagine you're listening to a song and they put on another song, you'll know that they've changed the song straight away, even if it's got the same beat. Even if it's got the same 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Do you know what I mean? But I can wish. What are you wishing for? Totally beautiful. I miss what you guys are wishing for. Wish away. Don't just wish away. Do it. What have you got to lose? Seriously, what have you got to lose? Just do it. Just live life fully. So, yeah. Julie said she may grow taller than 5 foot. Oh, right. Did she? I didn't see that. Where did I see that? I didn't see that. I didn't see that in the comments. I'm right off the ball there. So yeah, she might grow 5 foot. Yeah, exactly. Gravity changes, get 5 foot taller. Yeah. Well, that's imagine if you got a frequency that just changes this section here, that elongates that. I'll just let that sink in. This is where our consciousness is not just in one area; it's in all of us, and everything, every part of us, and what we do, and everything around us. But if we emphasize on one thing, or if the energy is emphasizing on one thing more than another, things will change when we go through the pole shift. So it wasn't Julie. You were spot on, Julie. You were spot on. It wasn't a joke at all, was it? It was completely spot on. That's how we get and £10 lighter. Yeah, I'm working on that at the moment. Who's that? Bettina. Yes, £10 lighter. Yeah, but it could be, it could be phenomenal. It's like there's dormant genes that can be expressed, and other genes can become dormant, and that's what that's all about. You take it, Julie. You take it away. Have it. It's yours. Seizing on the moment is really important as well. When your consciousness says that's what I got to do, you got to do it. You just do it, and you lose that weight. So yeah, there is it's going to be, the reason it's difficult to define in a way is because we are creating it as we go. And if I was to tell you we'll become like the tall whites, is that that entity, as it were. Yeah. There's we could become an ET where the heart thing becomes a lot more important. I don't know. I certainly I will create it. I will take part in creating it. I think we've got a lot to tell the other entities around the universe. I think we've got a lot to explain to them. And I think we give them a lot more credit than we should be giving ourselves. I think that actually, we look at the entities around the world, around the universe, and sort of say, oh, they're much more evolved than us and everything like that. Do you know what? I don't think I'm not convinced by that personally. I think we've got a lot of things to remind them of where they've come from and that they've lost sight of. And I think we've got a beautiful, beautiful song to sing to the rest of the universe. I'll eat too much cake for that. I eat too much cake for that. I love cake. So maybe in the future, cake doesn't really do anything bad to you. But I think we've got a lot to. I think our contribution to the universal system is highly underestimated, and I think we're conscious enough to actually. Now, this is why I think nature was standing shoulder to shoulder with us, as if to sort of say, You don't have to follow the ideals or the advice of entities that are far away. We can do it ourselves. It's not that kind of going, don't want your help, so it's not like that at all. It's just that kind of sort of saying, for it to be a pure expression, surely we have to be the ones to create it without prejudice and influence. And that is going to be the most interesting thing, I think, that comes out of all of this, is the understanding that we can bring to the universe and everything and every being that is within the universe. I don't want to put the pressure on you. You heard it first here at the Astroflower, and now you're part of the Astroflower family. You've got it on your shoulders. We've got to rebuild the universe, people, and we will do. We will do in a good way, in a very good way, and that's all part and parcel of that shift, of just going through it and being very consistent. So then people will then kind of go, do you know what? I'm going to start doing that as well, because that's going to help me, and in turn, it will help everybody else. And if it helps everybody else, I have to concentrate less on other people because they don't need me, because they're fine, because everyone's great. And if that's the case, just think how fast we can progress after that, how fast we can create things, how fast we can manifest things, or how fast we can, develop even our technology and our way of being and so forth, because we don't have to worry about the person next to us. I will do it if the person next to me is not in a good way. I'm going to be obviously, you're all right. And do you need help? And yeah, there's a lot of that still that's going on. But we will totally get challenge accepted. I'll make everyone in Yorkshire puddings. Oh, good. Yeah, I like that. Yorkshire puddings, nice. Yeah, so it's a way of it's just a way of being, a way of engaging with the whole sort of energetic side of things, which is that makes that shift happen. Makes that shift happen. So yeah, as I say, from September, I will be in a place much more. I can do a lot more lives. Soli or Suli. Lovely to see you the other day, by the way. You had a question about the Akashic Libraries, didn't you? And it's a bit late to be going into it now, I think, because it probably deserves its own sort of show. So we will have to do that at some point. Mother Nature is not happy. Is she not happy, Scott? Really? She's not happy. To Tom's point, it is our time as a humankind to do better and come together for Mother Nature and help her to be better. Yeah, we will make it. We will be the better for it. Yeah, totally. Small steps. I totally get that. Getting into sync with Mother Nature. I think Mother Nature knows exactly what she's doing, and she's tolerating the human being, like kids pulling. I get Lady Madonna, children at your feet, and then how you manage to make ends meet. A little bit like that. She almost is like, it's like the universe is looking at the earth and sort of kind of going, Lady Earth, what's going on? You got all these humans and they're doing so much wrong. It's like, and how do you tolerate it, Mother Earth? It's like, but I do think she knows what she's doing. I have complete and 100% faith in her. And we're all going through this process of learning, and as much as she must be going through this process of learning as well. And yeah, but every little helps, and every step, the more we can step into this idea that, the planet and the Earth itself is a living being, and we are part of that living being. Why would you cut your nose off to spite your face? You know what I mean? Or shoot yourself in the foot? That'd be a really bad idea. And we tend to do that. You know what I mean? Don't we? So yeah, I totally get that. You are the node. Am I? Okay. The seed, the circuit. Okay. This is from. Yeah, I will sing it. We'll sing it one day together, Scott. Really will. Super Wonder Woman said, "You are the node, the seed, the circuit, the conductor, the scroll." Yeah, we carry the remembrance flame to awaken planetary flame. Yeah, we are the spark that creates creation itself. Get your guitar. I haven't got my guitar, Kim. I'm sorry. Sing us a song. I will have to make a campfire to do that. We'll have a sing song around the campfire. I'll come over to New York and go and see Scott, and we'll do an evening of song. Yeah, funnily enough, I can only write my own songs. I'm really bad at singing or playing songs that are well known. I can only make my own songs up. So, yeah. But yeah, the seed and the node and all of that circuit, we have this opportunity to spark a real change without having to, do it. We have to just be that inspiration in a way in life. And I think when living in sync with energy and so forth, he's totally that Super Wonder Woman, whatever it is. It's Source Wonder Woman. Sorry, do apologize. I want to call you Source Superwoman. I don't know why, but Wonder Woman is fantastic as well. And yeah, I think we are. Yeah, totally, we are that spark. It's like the two fingers in the, what is it? The Venus de Milos, the birth of Venus. Which is meant to be a depiction of the brain, touching the finger of God and the spark that goes between the two fingers, and that's what, that is creation. That's what energy is like, it creates a conduit between, as like a conductor, as you say, a conduit between one vibration and another. And you can't actually, this is the thing with energy, you can't actually give or take energy in per se. But what you can do is, with that conduit, you can create a vibration that then influences the vibration of the other person, and then they generate that energy. So, and that's how magic works, be it black or white, magic, they both work at the same way, just with different ideals. So, yeah. Yeah, campfire and a guitar, you're up for that. Lots of songs to be sung. Lots of songs to be sung. Fun to be had. Conduit without interference. That's what energy is. It's without interference. Energy will only go where, it will find the easiest route. That's why you've got to, when you're manifesting things, you've got to keep it simple, because energy will find it's like the lightning that finds its easiest route to the ground. And that's when you're trying to manifest things, do the simple things, enjoy the simple things, be consciously involved in the simple things, and you've got a greater chance of manifesting, the greater things. And I said in that video as well, I said, like, it's something, I love this, the idea that, try and do the possible. Don't try and do the impossible. Aspire to the impossible, but don't aspire to the possible. And it's like, so do the possible and aspire to the impossible. I think it's very much like that sort of way. I think someone came out with a phrase that was very much similar to that. That's a quote from someone. I think it was Rockefeller. The quote is quoted from. The path of least resistance. Totally. That's what Gandhi was all about, surely. Look what he did. We've multitudes of times we've had people throughout history that have explained this in multitudes of different ways, and it's now becoming sort of like mainstream thinking. Once you get that mainstream thinking, that's when the consciousness really does start to explode, and you can really start doing stuff with it because you have a consistency that goes along with it. Because it comes from multitudes of different angles, and because it comes from multitudes of different angles, it creates a consistency that is at one with it all. The awakening of the planetary flame, as it were, as Source Wonder Woman said. Yeah, it's a great time to be alive. I'm really enjoying it, as much as it is messy at times within the human race. If you looked at if you took a snapshot of the human race at this moment, you're probably trying to turn around and go, wow, blimey, what a mess. But actually, out of that mess, there is a lot of good stuff that is coming to the surface. A lot of good stuff. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's a great time to be alive. And I think, as I was saying, this goes into Suli's thing as well, about the Akashic Library as well. I think all souls are incarnated at the moment. This is why the population is so big. Because heaven is emptied on earth. Heaven is on earth. And I'm not a big fan of heaven and hell. I think they're the same place. Hell for some is heaven for others. It's like that sort of scenario. But it's just been emptied on the earth. And that's why we're all here to experience the same thing at the same time. And it gives us a point of reference as well in all of our lives as individuals and our own reincarnation and so forth. And also the collective consciousness as well. And this is like a chapter of collective consciousness that has been on the road, I think, since the end of the Dark Ages. So the Renaissance period, which means the rebirthing period, and that's what's happened since the 1700s. The rebirthing, America or the United States and everything like that. And there was a lot of different sort of systems that were created around that sort of time, and the 16, 1700s were really, part and parcel of the start of it all. There's also decadence that came into play that we didn't see since the Roman times, really. And this decadence is now, it comes full circle. It comes back up like a rhythmical sort of thing. And but there's a lot of beauty within that. It's not obviously all of that. And this is becoming a chapter as the population was gradually growing and growing and growing. It's growing to this pinnacle moment where we will all be in the same place and have a shared experience. And that's what I think we're gradually working towards. The experience, what is that experience? Well, that's another question, isn't it? I think we've all got a part of that. A pixel within that picture. If you take a picture, So, Vita, two sides of the same coin. Yeah, right, exactly. Well, heaven and earth. Yeah, heaven and earth. So heaven and hell are both right here. Yeah, depending on your perspective, maybe. Totally. You know, you can go multitudes of places in the world where you can say that's hell. You know, but at the same time, in that place as well, you can see heaven. The yin and the yang is like you get the yin in the yang as much as you get the yang in the yin, and the two are inseparable in a way. But we can define a certain consistency between the two, which is that S that goes in the middle, the evident path, which is that constant, you know, mirandering. Is it mirandering? Mirandering. I don't know. I get that word wrong all the time. And I've got a friend called Miranda who would probably pull me up on that. But yeah, it's this sort of like, you know, that whole sort of process of having that evident path to follow. And with that thought about what the point, the end point, the end game is, you know, we can certainly meandering. Thank you, Peter. Very nice. Yes. Yeah. I think we've been here for an hour and a half. I don't want to, you know. Fortunately, I'm not settled in my places yet, so can't do a 5-hour session. I'd like to, you know, could go for ages. Really, there's so much to discover and talk about and explore in life. It's a wonderful thing, life. So, you know, Frasier, thank you very much for being here. Shirley, thanking you very much for being here. Vita, thank you very much. Source Wonder Woman, absolutely lovely. Kim, Scott, you know, everybody. It's been an absolute joy to see everybody again. I've now lost my bits and bobs. Let me just bring me back to. I've been out of frame, haven't I? The whole time. Have I been out of frame? Do you know, I'm not even paying attention to what's going on in the wonder world of 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 my production. So, oh, there you go. Thanking you all for being here. Really do appreciate it. It's great interaction. Always lovely to see. Always lovely, you know, the exchanging of ideas and opening up of new ones and stuff like that. It's absolutely fantastic. It's what life is all about. We've all got part of the solution, and together we will find the solution together. You know. So, you know, hope you enjoy all the videos that I put out. They may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you know, I hope you get the best out of them. Certainly on the energy videos and so forth. It's absolutely lovely to see. I really do thank you all very much for being here. You know, I will see you all very soon at some point or another. And you know, I want to do a live outside. Actually, I'm going to do one soon. I think a live, so I can change the time, so it's actually easier for people like in Australia and stuff like that to get involved. But unfortunately, you know, Kevin, yeah, thank you very much, man. Deepest love to you too, my friend. Source Wonder Woman, kind, thanks kindly as well. Lovely, really lovely to see everybody. Okay, and you know, we will converge again next week on Sunday, and you know, get it all back into the swing of things. And I'll introduce you to the new place that we're moving to. It's got a great, lovely energy line that runs through it. Really lovely energy line. That's the whole point of it. I'm moving back to living on energy lines. It's going to be the first time I'm living back really on an energy line in, could even be 14 years, 7 to 14 years. Before that, I was always living on an energy line, so I can't wait to do it. You know, Kim, thanking you very much. Everyone, yeah, I will see you soon. I've got to turn. I don't know how to turn this thing. I don't know how to turn it off. That's my problem. I've got to turn it off. So, you know, yes, I will see you all very soon. Thank you very much. In the meantime, don't forget, life should be fun. So please do enjoy. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. How do I do it?